Hello Bursies, welcome back to the channel. So guys, in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys how to cut and sew a female senator top. If that's something you're interested in, do make sure to keep watching and let's get this video started. Materials we'll be needing for this project, we'll be needing 2.5 yards of the viva, hemming gum, hairstay and invisible zipper. So I already have my fabric and placed on my table already, and it's folded in two. So yeah, I'm going to start by cutting out the front pattern first. So the length of the top I intend making measures 31 inches. So yeah, but you know this senator top, the way some part of the back kind of just comes to the front. Don't know if you get what I mean. So yeah, for that I'll be taking away 1.5 inches. So when 1.5 inches is taken away from that, it leaves us with 29.5 inches. And then I'll be adding 2 inches of allowance to hem the top, so that in total gives us 32.5 inches. And I'll also be adding 1 inch for the shoulder joining, so that in total gives 32.5 inches. So yeah, then that's what my fabric right here is measuring. It's measuring 32.5 inches in length, like you can see. So that's me labeling the front there. The next thing I'm going to do now will be to go ahead now and mark out my shoulder measurement just so I get the slant. So I'll be marking out 7.5 inches, and I'll be coming down by 1 inch. So yeah, you know that female shoulders is not that slant like that of guys. So yeah, one it's okay, and then I'll be connecting it like so. Basically what you see me do, and I'm going to go ahead now and cut this out. So now the next thing now will be to work on the back. So yeah, this is the back right here. So remember the length of our front after adding everything was measuring 32.5 inches, and yeah, don't forget that we removed 1.5 inches for the back. So yeah, when I multiply that 1.5 inches by 2, it gives me 3. So adding 3 inches to the 32.5 we had before gives, I think, 35.5. So I also have my fabric here measuring 35.5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead now and place my front pattern onto my back pattern, and yeah, this is what we have. You can see that the back is longer than the front, and that's how it's supposed to be because of the part of the fabric that comes from the back onto the front. So now I'm just going to lift the front pattern up like so, and basically cut out the shoulder onto the back pattern also. So now I'm just marking off the 1 inch that I added for the shoulder joining, marking it off right there. And now I'll be taking it back down just so the length of the front and the back aligns together like so, basically. Okay, so I'm also going to go ahead and also mark the 1 inch at the back pattern also. That's the allowance we gave for the shoulder joining. And now that is done, like you can see, we still have that 3 inches difference from both of the shoulder lines there. So I'll be making use of 2.25 for the width of the neckline, and that's because when it then sewn, it kind of increases in size. And I'll also be making use of 2.25 for the depth also, and basically connecting it together like so. I'm going to go ahead and cut these out. While for the back pattern, you have to ensure that the line of the back pattern and the line of the front pattern, that's the allowance line, ensure that it aligns together like so. Basically what you see me do, and once you're sure that it has aligned, you then go ahead to just create the neckline for the back, ensuring that it meets with that of the front. Basically what you see me do. So the next now will be to go ahead now and create our armhole. So I'm just going to go ahead now and insert my shoulder measurement. So my shoulder measurements for these, I'm making use of 7.5. That's 15, you get. And then I'm also going to go ahead and measure. You can see that we still have our 32.5 inches, sorry. Yeah. So the next thing I'm going to do now will be to mark my chest line. So normally my chest line is always 8, but for these I'll make use of 8.5. Rolling a straight line there, just replicating the 7.5 inches for the shoulder, just so I have a straight line from the shoulder to the chest line right there. And the next thing will be to mark my waistline. For this, I'll be making use of 16 for my waistline, and my hip line is always 9 inches for my waistline, which gives me 25. I'll be ruling a straight line at each of those points, labeling that my waistline WL and my hip line HL. I'm also going to go ahead now to mark off the 2 inches of allowance we added for hemming the top, and after I was done, I felt like the opening was small, so I went up and made it to be 8 inches. I don't know, you know that opening that we normally have at the bottom part of our senators. So yeah, I wanted mine to be 8 inches, so I'm going to be creating a new hip line. So this new line I'm creating now starts for my new hip line. The next thing I'll be to go ahead and insert my measurement. So my actual bust measurement is 34 divided by 2 gives 8.5. But this is senator top, is not supposed to be tight, so I'll be adding 1 inches for freeness, 1 inch for freeness, and I'll be adding 2 inches of sewing allowance. The same thing for my waistline. My waist measures 26 divided by 4 gives 6.5. Marking 6.5 there, adding the 1 inch, 7.5, and then 2 inches of allowance here. And also the same thing for my hip. My hip measures 36 divided by 4 gives 9 inches. So marking 9 right there, additional 1 inch just so it's free, and then 2 inches of sewing allowance. And I'm going to go ahead now and connect it together like so. And the next thing will be to work on the armhole. So like we normally do, marking the midpoint of my armhole, which measures I think 3 3/4, and then coming in by half of an inch, and that's for the front alone. I'll be connecting it like so. While for the back, I'll just be connecting it from that point. So I'm just going to go ahead now and cut this out. But when we get to the armhole, we'll be cutting it as though it's the back, and later I'll be lifting the first 2 pieces that serves for the front and then cutting it following the armhole pattern for the front, basically what you see me do. And also go ahead to cut the back neckline because we've cut that off the front already. So after I was done cutting, when I lift it up, you kind of see that our edge is kind of pointed, so I'm just going to be cutting it so that it's kind of at least straight and even. And yeah, that's basically it for the cutting. So yeah, the next thing now will be to sew. So yeah, for this I want to be making use of an interfacing to turn the necklines of both the front and the back. So I'm just going to go ahead now to mark the length of the fabric I want for the back, and that's 10.5, and that's for the interfacing to turn the neckline inside out. So I'm just going to go ahead now and basically mark out the same pattern I have on the actual top onto the fabric I'm making use of for the interfacing, following the armhole, the neckline, the shoulder slants, basically everything, and then go ahead to cut it out. Yeah, and now that I'm done, remember those start points that we marked for the 10 inches, I will be rolling a straight line there, and then I'll be adding additional 1 inch because we're going to be folding this in just so we have that neat seam here, and also drawing a straight line there. Going ahead to cut this out, and I'll be doing the same thing for the front pattern also, yeah, basically, but that of the front pattern is kind of shorter, but basically everything is still the same. The shape is just kind of different. I wanted it to be curvy, and I'm going to go ahead now to iron hairstay onto our interfacings for the front and for the back. Yeah, and once you've done that, I haven't done that yet, but I'm gonna do that. So once you've ironed your interfacing, then you place them right sides facing your actual top, and then just sew along the neckline, after which you'll be turning it inside for both the front and the back. The next thing now will be to go ahead and cut the sleeve. So the length of the sleeve I intend making measures 9.5 inches in length. I'll be adding 3 inches of hemming allowance, which gives me 12.5, and half inch to join the sleeve to the top, which in total gives 13 inches. And I have my fabric right here measuring 13 inches in length. The next thing will be to insert my round sleeve measurements, which measures 12 divided by 2 gives 6, adding 2 inches of sewing allowance. I'm going to go ahead now to mark off the 3 inches we added for the hemming allowance. Draw a straight line there, and I'll be folding that portion of the fabric in, just folding it in like so. And then next will be to create the actual sleeve. So to create the actual sleeve, I'm also going to just go ahead and mark my 6 inches and my 8 inches of allowance. And then for the sleeve, I'll be coming down by 4 inches and basically just creating the sleeve, connecting it like so, and then connecting it to my round sleeve measurement. Just going to go ahead now and cut this out, notch, and also notch sleeve, and also notch that portion for the 3 inches that we marked and placed in. Separated the sleeve because we're joined together. The next thing, I'm just going to go ahead and mark the wrong side because the lever is kind of deceiving, and I'm also going to go ahead now to just hem the sleeves. So folded it by the 3 inches that we folded earlier, and then just further fold it so that we have this double fold and so that it's neat. And I'll be doing this for both sleeves. So after I was done, I'm turning the neckline inside out. I've done the same thing for the front and also for the back. I've turned it inside out. I made use of my hemming gum to hold the interfacing down to the top, and you can see it just stays together. So now the next thing will be to join it together. So I'm going to go ahead now to sew one end and leave the other end open for the zipper. So I'm just going to go ahead now and mark off our 1 inch of allowance that we measured, rule a straight line, and also do the same thing to the other shoulder. So I'll be sewing one end and leaving one end open. It depends on what side you want your zipper to be placed. Just sew one end and insert an invisible on the other end. So I have a video up on the channel. I'll be leaving the link on how to insert an invisible zipper in the description box. So after I was done with the sleeve, I've hemmed it, and this is what it looks like. And after I was done with the top also, this is what it looks like. I've sewn one shoulder part and insert my invisible zipper to the other part, and you can see how it stays invisible. Just going to notch the top portions of the top like so, just so I know what portion of the notch sleeves match to what portion of the armhole. I'm going to go ahead and to attach each sleeve to each of its armhole. After I was done, this is what I have. The next thing now will be to go ahead now and join this together. So basically you'll be sewing from the sleeve all through to our hip line based off the allowance we gave, which was 2 inches, up to that hip line that we got there for both sides. After which you'll be hemming the top like so. You first hem the bottom of the top, and after which you're now going to also fold this side so that you have a neat seam around that opening that normally stays at the bottom part of our senator tops. And after I was done, this is what it was looking like, looking very pretty. Like, see the way I'm rocking it, this looks so pretty on me. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, do not forget to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do all to comment also if you found this video helpful. That way it encourages me to put out more content. And regarding the pants I paired the top with, I have a video up on the channel on how you can cut and sew straight pants. I'll be leaving the link to the video in the description box below. I love you guys. Bye bye, and see you in my next video.